It's the starting lineup. Kip Keefer, Tony Curry, the legend, and Case Keefer bring it every week.
The coaches don't like what's going on.
Fellas, wow. Congratulations.
Weather is of universal appeal. It affects you and everybody watching.
Because you're a real legend, you're authentic, you've lived it.
You never know who's going to be in the starting lineup.
The starting lineup, 10:30 to 11 on ABC 3340 every Saturday morning. Hey, Kitty Poos, welcome to another starting lineup here with Kip Keefer. I'm Tony Curry. Of course, about 3-4 weeks out before we start college football season. Auburn, Alabama, about 30 days out. And, of course, the UAB Blazers, by the time this show airs in 4 weeks, they will have already beaten Alcorn State down at Protective. So we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, and we are so excited about this upcoming football season here on the starting lineup because we're going to have all kinds of great special guests. Happy to know that our good friend Paul Feinbaum, who we had on several weeks ago for a best of show, and, of course, on the show, he got the extension with ESPN. So
congratulations, Paul. I'm sure it was his appearance here on the starting lineup to put that over the top.
I'm sure it had something to do with it.
Because this chair next to me was open. We told Paul it was available for him if he wanted it. And ESPN obviously said, we can't let that happen. The starting lineup is already awesome with Paul, and we'll be out of business. So congratulations to him.
You want to talk about the kids getting fired up for college football? As we speak right now, EA Sports has just passed $500 million in 2 weeks of sales for college football, for their Madden college football, which, of course, hadn't been out in 11 years. My son has been stuck in front of the TV. He looks like he's on crack for like the last 8 days. I can't get him off the game. It's unbelievable.
Tony, it's so amazing because people from our generation don't even realize, but I watched my son play a couple of games, and he plays against the computer, but he picks a team and plays like the whole season. The detail of that, it's like watching a real game. The graphics, they do play-by-play. It's Reese Davis and David Pollack and Jesse Palmer. They're commenting on what's happening in the game. It's unbelievable. And we got into talking about how much more can be done. Now he said, it has the capacity with the AI technology that you can get like the classic announcers who are, been long gone in years coming up. Guys like Larry Munson and John Forney and John Ward, the classic announcers doing play-by-play on EA games. I mean, it's just amazing what they can do. You've got to see this. I'm gonna get him to make me a little clip to bring on the show so folks that aren't familiar with modern-day gaming, Tony, it looks like the real thing.
If you're out of the room and you're not paying attention, you walk in, you think college football.
It's unbelievable.
And even to the point where the music sounds fantastic. I don't know how they got the licensing for the music, but all the songs you normally hear, Thunderstruck, all the songs you hear on kickoff, and then, of course, the stadiums. I'm sitting there watching my son's playing UAB against Texas. And again, you can play any two teams you want against each other. And he's sitting there playing UAB, and they're playing at Protective. And I mean, you can see the downtown skyline. It's amazing. It's amazing. It'll go over $1 billion here probably in the next couple of days. Congratulations to EA Sports, and thanks for bringing college football back. Speaking of big time bucks, out of the top 15 highest priced tickets for college football season, this team has 5 of those. Do you know who that is? They have 5 of the hottest tickets out of the top 15 in all of college football.
Wow, that's an interesting question. I wouldn't even know how to hazard a guess. I'll say Texas, but I'm not.
Well, and we're going to be on prior to the first game of the year. It'll be Georgia and Clemson. Georgia has got the 5 highest priced tickets, including Texas, which is going for $455 a game on the secondary market. Your thoughts on that? I had a really interesting discussion with Mark Ingram, the UAB athletic director. I can afford UAB football games, thank goodness. I can go down there and spend $40, $50. Yeah, concessions are a little out of control, and make myself have a great time for 3 or 4 hours. I don't know if I can afford to go to a Georgia-Auburn game, which is one of those 5 games, a Georgia-Alabama, which is one of those games, Georgia-Ole Miss, Georgia-Texas, all those in the top 10, because I just don't have the kind of jack to be spending on $455 on a ticket. And where's the ceiling at? I mean, these games continue to sell out. We live in a capitalistic world. I get it. Go for it. You want to spend $2,000 on a Taylor Swift concert ticket, I can't keep you from doing it. But for the little guy like me, I'm going to have to watch it on TV.
Well, I've got Georgia-Alabama tickets, and let me tell you, I'm going to have to get an all-night telemarketing job to try to make up what that's going to cost me. And I got those through an Alabama alumni in kind of a ticket exchange kind of a deal, but the price tag's still just absolutely astounding. I can't believe I'm paying this much for a football game, but it was one of those that was must see. Georgia at Tuscaloosa on September 28th. But you're right, the ticket prices are absolutely skyrocket out of control.
Now, a little bit later on the show, Case Keefer is going to join us from the desert. He's your son. He does a fantastic job, unbelievable, and he's great at futures. Now, a lot of people don't like to play futures because they want to win it right now.
Yeah.
I love futures because you can have a couple bad weeks and still end up winning your bet by the end of the season. Over-under totals, I think, are going to be something where even the regular guy like us can take advantage of. By the way, we have a brand new podcast coming out. It's called 4K Winners, which we're going to be doing here in a couple of weeks, where you're going to be getting Case, you, me, and Kai Gregory on together. We're going to have all of our plays. You'll get those plays for nothing. But I think there's going to be some really good value and some over-unders. Just looking at the SEC, when you're talking about Texas and Oklahoma coming in, we're all going to be beating each other up.
Oh, the schedule's brutal. You talked about Georgia. Georgia plays they play Alabama and Texas on the road, and at Ole Miss, who a lot of people, including me, looking at their schedule.
Well, it makes up for the schedule they had last year.
Well, yeah.
Because last year was a joke.
The first half of the season last year, but then they had a gambit of really tough games down the stretch. The bottom line is their schedule's brutal this year. Every year people say, I like this team, I like that team. They don't look at the schedule, Tony. You've got to look and see who teams play. And if you look at Missouri and Ole Miss, they both have the most advantageous schedules in the league. They're both good bets to go over because their games, the big three in the rankings and everybody's estimation of the experts are Alabama, Texas, Georgia. And not necessarily in that order, but those are the big three. Ole Miss and Missouri only play one of those three teams, respectively, in their schedule. And a lot of teams, like Georgia, play both, and it's very difficult, but that's a good way to go about it. So they're both good bets for over. My big prediction is Texas and Georgia are both 10.5. That means they can only lose one game to be over. I think they both are good bets to go under because one of them's going to lose to each other.
They're going to at least break even.
That's one loss there.
Yeah.
So to run the table from there with the brutal schedules they have, Texas has to go to Michigan in week 2. That's the other thing about Ole Miss and Missouri. Their non-conference opponents are Wake Forest and Boston College.
Yep.
Where Georgia's playing Clemson, Texas is playing Michigan, Alabama, it doesn't have a real tough one maybe, but it's at Wisconsin. It's still a hell of a lot tougher than Wake Forest or Boston College. So you got to look at those things, and you can make some pretty good estimations on the over-under win totals.
Ledge is going to join us a little bit later on the show. The last 5 years over-under at the beginning of the season for the Crimson Tide, 11, 10.5, 10, 10.5, 10.5.
11.
This year, 9.5 for the first time in 6 years. The over-under on wins for Alabama is under 10 with Coach DeBoer. It's going to just be strange for people who love to watch Coach Saban for the last 16, 17 years on that sideline at Saban Field or whatever it's going to be called. He's not going to be there. And to come in at 9.5 wins, your initial thought on that seems low, kind of, but is that only because Texas and Oklahoma are in the league now?
They've got some hot spots. I mean, Alabama doesn't play Texas, but they do play Oklahoma.
They do.
They also have, of course, Tennessee and LSU, who are in that top 4 or 5 SEC teams, and Georgia. So, I mean, that's a lot of tough games. And I'm telling you, Alabama fans, do not underestimate that trip to Madison, Wisconsin. That's a weird place. You've never been, don't really know the circumstances. Wisconsin at home, I've been to a Wisconsin game at Camp Randall Stadium. It's a pretty wild atmosphere. You don't really feel like you're in the Big Ten. The fans are right on top of you. Bama better come to play that day because that's a tough road game.
They allow double parking for cows, though, up in Wisconsin, which is fantastic. No, I think
cheese.
You're right, and really a great opportunity because had this playoff format not gone from 4 to 12 teams, and you're talking about adding Texas and Oklahoma, I don't even know we've never had a 2-loss team make it in yet.
You haven't. Not in the playoff era.
And now certainly we will have to have a
definitely.
2-loss team make it in. So it's going to be super exciting. We cannot wait. We hope you're going to watch the show. Tim Brando, good friend of the show, is going to be on. Paul Feinbaum will be back on the show. We're going to have him on. James Spann, who loves his college football, he's going to come in from downstairs or upstairs. He's going to be joining us for the show. And then we're going to have a plethora of other great guest coaches. I'm starting a brand new podcast called The Inferno with UAB. Trent Dilfer, of course, getting ready for his first year, of course, a losing record, the first losing record since 2017 when the UAB came back. Also, Andy Kennedy will be part of that. He loves college football, too. So we're going to have all that going on right here on the starting lineup. Stay put, 10:30, 11 o'clock every Saturday morning right here on ABC 3340.
The Birmingham Racecourse Casino turns dreams into reality. Like Roger M., who just won over $51,000. And Rebecca, celebrating a life-changing jackpot of $160,000. You could be the next to dance the Icky Shuffle with a big win.
Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! And you can be a winner too!
Don't miss your chance to be our next big winner at the Birmingham Racecourse Casino.
Each year, significant funding from entertainment dollars generated at the Birmingham Racecourse Casino and distributed by the Birmingham Racing Commission provides significant revenue to some of our community's most vital resources. And one of those exemplary institutions is historic Miles College, a true foundational pillar of academic opportunities and excellence. Recognized as among America's most outstanding HBCU institutions, Miles College, an annual statutory recipient of funding from the Racing Commission, utilizes those proceeds to assist in providing invaluable education and resources in a variety of fields of study. Birmingham Racecourse Casino, paying off for Alabama.
One of the things I love about TKR is, well, I own it. And so I can talk about whatever I want on the show. That's why I've got my good friend Kip Keefer on for not one but two shows. He does the Keefer and Curry show, which is fantastic, and also Need to Know. But I get great clients on too. And I want to mention the Woodhouse Day Spa because my good friend Stuart Rome's going to be coming in and giving Kip Keefer a massage for 30 straight minutes live on the show. We're going to be talking to you. We're trying to do it before football season because we were
supposed to encourage viewers.
We do have priorities here. But it's going to be great. The Woodhouse Day Spa, they do wonderful work too. Listen, you guys need to go out there and get that 6 for 5 thing at the Woodhouse Day Spa, 905-7676, because your old lady's going to be hating you like 3 or 4 weeks into the football season because you leave at 11 o'clock and you don't get back till 11 o'clock that Saturday night. You're missing weddings and special dates with the kids and everything else. Go get her one of the special packages of Woodhouse Day Spa, 905-7676, and then download the TKR app and listen to another wonderful show called When in Rome with Stuart Rome, another great podcast we do right there on TKR. Now a man who is just chomping at the bit, as he is every single week. He cannot wait for the Alabama Crimson Tide. 9.5. Interesting over-under. What's his thoughts on that and everything is all Alabama? It is the man, the myth, the legend. Here is that man.
All right there, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Legend Cave. I am the legend from the Paul Feinbaum Show, 4-time heavyweight Feinbaum champion. You might notice today I don't have my hat. I got running out of the house, forgot my hat, and looked in the mirror a minute ago, Keeper, and realized for the first time in 10 years without a hat on, I'm going at it! What happened? What happened to you? I don't know, but it happened. Keeper, you came into the Legend Cave a month ago, and I ain't been able to get rid of you. That ain't everything in my refrigerator. You're hanging out in the back with my 90-inch TV. You love it here in the Legend Cave. You always welcome, brother. You love it here. When are you moving out, man? That's all I want to know. Are you moving out anytime soon?
I've already called my mother to come get me, but she hadn't showed up yet, so.
Oh, man. Well, you know you always welcome, man. I tell you what, Ronnie Van Zant, Elvis, Tupac, and Kip Keefer. You can't beat it. There's only a few been allowed in the Legend Cave.
Thank you very much.
But we might make an exception for an advertiser. An advertiser might get in. So if you're an Auburn fan and you're an Auburn, you might get in. You might get in.
Hey, I've got the ultimate Auburn fan coming in next week. Chip Lake, who wants to visit the Legend Cave. You're going to have to see if you can issue him some kind of passport to make that happen.
Well, if you vouch for him, brother, that's good enough for me. He will be allowed in. We'll be glad to talk to him. But, Kip, let's get down to the football season. 4 weeks away, 28 days. I'm pumped. How pumped are you, brother, for the upcoming season?
Legend, this is going to be like nothing we've ever seen, and we need to change our mentality. I was proud of my man, the legend, a couple weeks ago here in the cave when I said, are you prepared for Alabama to lose a couple of games this year? He said a great answer. You'll never hear a better answer on any network. He said, as long as we go to the dance, baby, I don't care.
That's right. As long as I'm dancing like Fred Astaire, baby, as long as I'm getting down. Yeah, I used to have the booze back in the day. As long as I'm in the dance. As long as I'm there with Cinderella, baby. As long as I'm there, Keeper, I'm happy. 12-team playoff. I'm spitting. That's how excited. Watch out, Keeper. I didn't spit. They went in that direction, brother. I didn't get you. But I'm so excited. I'm spitting, ladies and gentlemen. 4 weeks away from Alabama kickoff. Preseason NFL's already underway. It's the most wonderful time of the year, ladies and gentlemen. It's Christmas time. But, Kip, let's talk about this SEC quickly. Hey, we're running out of time here in the Legend Cave, but this coming season, man, we're going to be Legend, Kip, Tony, all 30 minutes. It's going to be crazy. But, Kip, this upcoming season, who's the best quarterback in the SEC in your opinion?
I think it's 1 and 1A, Carson Beck and Jalen Milroe. Anybody else doesn't have the resume these guys have. I think they played on the field head-to-head. Milroe had a better game. Alabama won. In college football, that's the name of the game. Who's the best quarterback? I think both those guys are going to have phenomenal seasons and be in New York for the Heisman ceremony.
Man, I like that right there. Jalen Milroe, you are our leader. We love you, dude. And let me say this to all Alabama players that didn't go to Texas and get a Maserati. That's right, Isaiah Bond. We know you sold us out for a Maserati. But thank you to all the players at Alabama that stayed committed to the A, baby. We love you. You legends regardless. Now, Kip, who's the best running back in the SEC this year?
Now, that's a tough one. I think I'd have to really give it some thought, but I certainly like the tandem you have at Alabama. I think Justice Haynes, you stole him out of Georgia. And, man, I think he's going to be big time. Again, back to the best two teams. Georgia with Travis Etienne, the brother of Trevor, who is in the NFL now, is going to be big time to transfer from Florida. So that's two of the top ones.
Yeah, I really like Jam Miller, Justice Haynes. Man, when you look at that backfield with Milroe, Haynes, and Miller, woo, it's like peanut butter and jelly. Oh, we love it in the country. We love that backfield, right? Last one real quick. Best defense in the SEC this year. Who you got?
That's another difficult one. I'm going to go just because their front's so dominant. I think Texas's defense is going to be great. But the question with Texas is their secondary. That's what made them vulnerable last year. I think that they probably fixed that, but I'd have to go Texas just because their front seven is really experienced and really, really big and good.
Man, I tell you, that Alabama defense is going to surprise. Malachi Moore, I see you. You the Jalen Milroe of the defense. Hey, remember, it's just a game. Put us in this season. It's going to be crazy here on the starting lineup. Remember, it's just a game. Don't be like the great Keefer, the legend.
Sports insane.
If you were watching the show last week, you saw Ashley here from the Glass Panda. We've got some other special guests, including Spy for Rent's going to be coming on. UAB's a big Southern Precision Staffing. They've been on with us since we started this TV show about 8 or 9 months ago. They're wonderful. Kai Gregory came in here and went 9-0. 9-0 in his picks. And so he's come up with this brilliant idea of doing this 4K winner show where it's going to be, of course, Case and Kip and myself. We're all 4Ks. We're all Ks. It's going to be a fantastic show. But Southern Precision Staffing, they're there for you right now. If your staffing is banged up, if you need to fulfill something when it comes to staffing, IT, construction, anything else, they do wonderful work. 205-682-2828. 205-682-2828. Call Kai. They're open 24 hours a day. They're right here in Hoover, Alabama, serving the United States of America. They are fantastic. 205-682-2828, where your word and your handshake still mean something.
Folks, we dominate the airwaves on college football Saturdays and Sundays. We have shows on Jocks 94.5, the Game Time program, 8 to 10 a.m. to get you ready every week for college football throughout the season. The best college football season ever coming up. It's going to be awesome. We're going to go all around the SEC, do look-ins on all the games, and then, of course, the starting lineup kicks into gear right before kickoff here on ABC 3340. An SEC game every week at 11 o'clock, right after we get off the air. This is going to be the place. Wait till you see our new format. It's going to be awesome. And then on Sundays, we wrap it up back on Jocks 94.5 with the morning after. Kip Keefer, Terry Quillian back for our 8th season of the show you cannot miss, because it's your first opportunity to talk about everything you saw on the field on Saturday. What a lineup, a great trifecta every football weekend. Game time, starting lineup, morning after. Do not miss a minute of it to enhance and enjoy your college football season. Hey, we had a great sponsor last week come on the show, Ashley, our brand new partner, the Glass Panda, in the Brock's Gap Shopping Center out in Hoover. It is Asian street fusion food. You have to go and experience it to really know what I'm talking about. They've got a great setup there, fantastic bar, all kinds of specialty drinks. We're going to do a special VIP get-together on Thursday, August 15th. You are invited to come by and say hello to all of our folks here that put the starting lineup together every week. We can't wait to have you there. The Glass Panda. Just go on the internet to glasspandaeats.com. Get the rundown on the menu and everything they have to offer. It is an awesome spot. Speaking of awesome, Case Keefer on fire again in golf, giving you John Rahm last week. He was a winner. That's like 4 out of the last 5 weeks. Case has football information now. He is fired up for the season. Here he is from the desert, Case Keefer.
Hey, it's Case Keefer back again with another edition of my best bets for the starting lineup and game time, coming to you once again this week from Costa Mesa, California, down here for the Las Vegas Raiders training camp. And as always, we'll get to some football later, but I figured we'd go with the same setup this week as we have most of the recent weeks, a little golf first and then football, because how can we stop the golf? The heater continues. Can't take full credit last week, but the real bet I gave out was John Rahm to win the Olympics at 15-1. The Olympics right now ongoing, probably 2 rounds in if you listen to this, but if you were listening closely, I said that if he was in contention in Live United Kingdom over the weekend, go ahead and take some live entry on him, as I think he was going to win the tournament. And not the biggest payout, but if you took that advice, by the time you listened to the segment, he was about plus 350. Maybe you could find a little bit better than that with a 3-stroke deficit going into the final round, which he ultimately won. Wasn't the cleanest performance, but Tyrrell Hatton misses a putt on 18 to give Rahm the outright win without a playoff, and now I love sitting on him 15-1 going into the Olympics. I don't really have as strong of thoughts on the Olympics golf event right now at Le Golf National. I love what we have with Rahm. He's going to close at about 8-1, so we got about a double a price better. Hopefully you jumped on that. I've heard a lot of people this week taking Colin Morikawa. There's not a whole lot of golf I can really give out now with the Olympics, but one thing we can look forward to is the FedEx Cup Championship, where Scotty Scheffler and Xander Schauffele, who else, are extremely low prices to win that, about 2-1 or plus 150 for each of them. And that's actually where I'm going to take a shot. I'm going to try to beat these guys. I'm going to take Colin Morikawa in the FedEx Cup at 16-1. I don't love him this week at the Olympics. I think he's getting way too much hype. It's not a course that's familiar to him. It does set up well to his skill set, but I'm going to try to beat him here. Hope he holds it off just a little bit longer to when he breaks through for a win this year, because he's been so good. But I just think, you look at the FedEx standings, and Scheffler and Schauffele obviously so far above everyone else, but it really doesn't mean all that much to me in the end. The first round going to be in Memphis, as always, at the FedEx St. Jude Championship, and that is a place where Colin Morikawa has played well. I think 5th and 13th the last 2 years, and he's playing even better this year. Really accurate, and ball striking is going to mean so much there, and he is both of those things. If you win that tournament or have a good finish, you climb up the point standings so quickly, since that's worth a little bit more. Then of course there's one event after that, and then into the Tour Championship at East Lake at Atlanta, where it bears repeating. It needs to be said that Scotty Scheffler has not liked that course, has not played well there. So I think if you try to take some longer shot guys, take a shot against him, it could be worth it. Xander Schauffele, on the other hand, has played terrific there, but I'm going to take Colin Morikawa at 16-1 to win the FedEx Cup Championship. Hopefully he lets down a little bit at the Olympics, and we can see John Rahm get in for the win. But we'll get Morikawa once we get back on home soil for the PGA Tour Championship. Now we'll transition into football. I think I gave out both an NFL and a college football bet last week. But let's just focus on college football this week. I believe I've touched on all the other major conferences. All my prep work now is done. A lot of hours poured into the depth charts, the spreadsheets, some of the statistical analysis. The final one I finished was the ACC. Had a bunch of win totals there, have a bunch of opinions on a bunch of teams, but I figured I bet two teams outright in the futures market to win the conference, so I thought I would just go ahead and share those. And the first one, not really going out on a limb here, not going to be the highest payout, but I really think there's value on Florida State. Best price I've seen plus 330, more commonly around 3-1, which is also fine. I wouldn't go much lower than that. I just think there's a big delta between the talent on the Seminoles roster and everyone else in the ACC. Clemson probably the closest team, but importantly, they get that Clemson game at home. I actually don't think Florida State is going to have a great year, and I didn't think I was going to love this team as much as I didn't even think I'd be picking them to win the ACC before I really dove into things, but their talent level is just so much higher than everyone else. And although they do have a really tough schedule, some of those games are non-conference at Notre Dame. I know they play Memphis, who's going to be a lot better this year. Of course, the annual rivalry with Florida. So I could see, Florida State only being like 9-3 or something and still being in the ACC championship and winning. So I bet them plus 330. I think the Clemson game at home means everything. As I said, one of the tough road games they have brings me to my long shot bet in the ACC, and maybe I'm a little biased and just can't quit this team. So if you listen last year, I picked them all the time, but SMU at 16-1. Look, they have the starters to compete in a major conference right away. The depth is a little bit more of a question, but another thing that's in their favor that isn't in Florida State is the schedule. They have the easiest schedule in the ACC, and I think as long as Preston Stone and the boys stay healthy, 16-1 is a big price there. They came through for me last year in an AAC future. I don't remember if I gave it out on the show or not, but they did, so I'm going to go with them and Florida State at plus 330. Shameless plug, if you want to find a bunch of NFL bets and awards bets, I wrote up a bunch on LasVegasSun.com for the Las Vegas Weekly this week. Thanks for listening. As always, we'll be back next week with more bets.
Kip, I don't know if there's a second coming of Jesus coming up or what, but it's been just a weird 2024. Of course, we just came off this COVID crap a couple of years ago, and now we've got all these football teams moving around, moving places. We got 12 teams in. We got no Nick Saban for the first time in nearly 2 decades, which is weird. We got an election coming up this year. This is going to be unlike anything we've ever seen, but it's going to be a fantastic college football season. That's one thing that we can always hang our hat on. We're looking forward to that. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it's a bizarro world when Stanford and California from the San Francisco Bay Area are in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Mm-hmm. They had their media days this week, Tony. Dabo Swinney said he knows what's wrong with the ACC. Of course, his school wants out. They're not getting the money that the SEC is getting. And he said, and looked in the camera and said, "Where is our effing Paul Feinbaum show?" And he didn't say effing, if you catch my drift. It's funny that the ACC schools have such a chip on their shoulder because they're banking about $30 million less a year than the Big Ten and the SEC. And in the new television deal for the college football playoff, they're only getting about $11 million, where the SEC and Big Ten get 21, so another $10 million disparity. They're really starting to feel like the little sisters of the poor in this deal, and the ACC Media Days was very explosive.
Well, and Dabo, a guy that doesn't really believe in the transfer portal a whole lot, doesn't like the NIL, much like Nick Saban, says, "You want to come play for Clemson, you play for Clemson," and he lost 4 games last year. So, I mean, he can do a big thing by getting off the stone and knocking off Georgia in that first game of the year, and all of a sudden everyone's going to shut up because, listen, he said buy stock when it's low. We did that. Now it's time to cash it in. So we'll see what happens in 2024. It's going to be an unbelievable year. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to be all over it. We hope you join us every Saturday morning at 10:30. You're going to watch that game at 11 o'clock. No one tunes in to a football game right at 11 o'clock. So please tune in to us. We know we have all kinds of different avenues and all kinds of different places to watch your college football content, but we ask you to watch us every single Saturday. We promise you're going to love our plays, love our content, and love the show, The Starting Lineup.
Wait till you see the new format. It's awesome.